Hi everyone, and welcome to the Inspire Mind podcast. Our guest today is a clinical psychologist who studied how human behavior has the power to change lives. He is truly passionate about psychology and about helping people find their inner powers. Dr. Stefane Kabene is professor of psychology here at the Canadian University Dubai and a professional practitioner outside his educational role. Dr. Stefane, welcome.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Can you tell us more about your passion in the field of psychology and what brought you into this field?
Psychology is a fascinating field as it's a science of, we call it the science of the mind and behavior. And behavior is involved in every aspect of our society. Sure. From technology, from space, and so on and so forth. So knowing about behavior help us interact with people, help them when needed, and also teach this course to students that are really, really eager to also learn about behavior. They're very excited about the field, and we try to make the science as the teaching of this science as interesting as possible. And being a clinician at the same time, allow me to provide them with examples. We are 130 years old as a science. Mm-hmm. And in 130 years, we accomplished miracles. So we have many, many, many years to come. I tell my students, I'm jealous, I envy you, I wish I was your age today.
Yeah, so to see what they will see in the future,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen any transformations through your students starting the year one to the end?
Oh my God, you should meet my fourth year student. I'm very proud of them. I mean, from the start where they were shy, not able to express their ideas and so on and so forth, to now, the change is amazing, truly amazing.
What are the qualities that one should have to become a practitioner?
First, before the qualities, the motivation.
That's true.
You need to have the motivation to become a practitioner, to become a clinician. And by the way, when you say practitioner, I would like to add something. It's not just clinical psychologist. Clinical psychology is a part of psychology. We have forensic psychology, we have organizational psychology, we have business psychology, and many, many other specialties in the discipline. Clinical psychologist it's a specialization in psychology, which works with neurology, psychiatry, and so on and so forth. But for example, organizational psychology, those who specialize in the field will be working more with business people that are in business. Forensic will be working more with the police, lawyers, and so on, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a huge field.
And perhaps after this journey during the pandemic, I guess the mental health has become a very important component of our daily lives, right?
It makes people more aware.
And it is like anything else when it comes to health, right? Like we talk diet, we talk let's do sports so that you keep a work-life balance. This is mental health as well. Like it is like anything else.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as we say, the brain is a muscle that we need to train.
Absolutely.
That's actually, they talked about my students earlier, they're doing some research projects that are fascinating, right? For example, Alzheimer, which is a disease, right? Alzheimer, we know that now by retraining memory or by increasing the reading time per day and so on, delays the onset of the Alzheimer disease and many other cognitive problems.
What is your teaching style and how do you infuse the love of psychology into your students?
I do it by provoking them every day. They cannot stay in the corner of the class, silent. Yes. I provoke them and I tell them, be excited. I tell them, this is your chance. You have 4 years to try yourself. Once you get out there trying, it's not going to be possible, at least less possible. Make mistakes, give your opinion, talk, question.
It's a safe environment here.
Absolutely.
To learn,
absolutely,
to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in class, I tell them this is a space, as you said it yourself, a safe space to express your ideas, to make mistakes, to question. Yeah. Then you have the right to question me, and you have internet now. When I tell you something, go jump in internet, check it, look at the evidence behind what I say. And tell me if I say something wrong because, I'm also ready to learn.
That's amazing. That's how we discover pockets within us that needs to be uncovered.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
What influenced your teaching style? Was there a story from your growing? Maybe there is a teacher out there who influenced you.
We all do. Of course, we all do. It starts very, very, very early in primary school. I had that teacher who was an amazing teacher. Strangely enough, I don't remember his name.
Oh.
But I'm talking about, come on, I'm talking about the late 60s, early 70s.
It's just
right?
yesterday.
He used to tell us stories in class. He would come in class and tell us stories, and he would involve me often in those stories. He liked me, I suppose, and he made me hero of some of the stories. I started getting fascinated, really fascinated. But also, I'm a reader. I read a lot, and I mean, I read a lot. so, and I said, when do you have time to read? I said, anytime, any chance I have to read, I will take it.
That's great.
So,
that's great.
So the teaching style is open. Students, I respect my students. They don't have to be fourth year or graduate students. I tell them it's not the year that's going to make you who you are. It's who you are that will make what you learn, become something interesting.
I hear that 50% of fixing a problem is to admit there is a one.
Absolutely.
Can you speak more about that?
The 4 stages of change. Every time there is a change, people resist it, right? So perhaps you do know, the famous stages are the denial. The first reaction to change, the denial. No, it's not needed.
Yeah.
Second part is anger. We get angry.
Why me?
And we
Victimization.
We get angry at everybody, right? And then after that, it's the part where we're negotiating. We negotiate. We try to see if there is any way, to change the reality. After that is depression. We see a lot of people going through depression, right? Not a clinical depression, just feeling down.
Yeah, feeling overwhelmed.
Right? And then finally the acceptance.
Okay.
Then we accept. And then we're able to move on, right? Before that, there is nothing possible. It is efforts. There is a word that disappeared from our vocabulary. Efforts. I need some effort to change.
Yeah, willingness to change. Absolutely.
It takes a lot of energy, a lot of efforts.
Is there psychology for animals? You're an animal lover.
My master's degree was in animal psychology.
Tell me about that, because animals do have feelings too.
Absolutely. Of course, there's a specialization in psychology, absolutely. And it's not having the animal, on a couch and talking about, no. It's purely based on conditioning from the
behavior?
laws. Yeah, the behavior, the conditioning of the behavior based on the laws of Skinner and Pavlov and all these famous psychologists from the past. Right? So yes, absolutely, it exists. And often it's not a psychologist; it's someone who got trained in behavioral change with animals that come and help them. For example, with dogs that are aggressive, cats that are suffer from separation anxiety. Yes, it exists. If the cat has been dropped many times by different people and so on, it develops that fear of being alone or being left alone. So they develop anxiety.
What type of behavior can animal owners pick up and know that their animal is actually dealing with something here?
Hiding for no reason.
Okay.
Destructive behavior. When you leave and you come back and you find that the dog chewed all the boxes and papers and stuff like that,
he's
right?
saying something.
I cannot go in the mind of that cat or that dog, but what I know is it's anxiety, and that destructive behavior might be related to that, right?
Yes.
So we don't need to go to try to explain the reasons, because we can't, for now.
It's case by case.
But we can change the behavior of that animal by using different conditioning techniques.
Absolutely. It just goes to say and to show how psychology, it is part of who we are. It is a component of our body. We've been raised perhaps to think we're just a physical being, but we're not. We are energy, we are emotions, we are a combination of all that, right?
Look at the future, if I may give an example. The future is here, as we say, right? Space psychology. Now we're going to be sending people to Mars, to other planets. They're going to have to stay confined for a long time, very similar to the COVID, but in a rocket of some sort. You have programs now of space psychology, doing research on how would people react to the situation and what can we do to train them to deal with those situations and so on and so forth. Actually, Tata, the car company from India, is offering fellowships for psychology students to specialize in space psychology. It's evolving in every aspect.
It's an ocean of opportunities, this field. It's amazing. Whomever comes in, it's not going to be, the ceiling is not out there.
No, artificial intelligence. It's honestly everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
You spoke about COVID. Could you elaborate on pre-COVID mental health states? Do you see any influences there? Do you see any movements?
Of course. Listen, again, I tell my students I have never been through something like this before. Okay, the Spanish flu was the latest, I think, pandemic serious pandemic before this one. But being isolated like this, when was the last time, right?
Yes.
Never happened. We had to isolate people for 2 years now, more than 2 years, right? People are not used to it. Kids, imagine now the kids that grew up. I'm talking about the kids that 1 year, 2 year, 3 years old, 4 years old, grew up in a world that was completely different from the one in which they should have grown up in terms of communication, interacting with others, and so on and so forth. So they might, and I'm saying they might because the research has to be done, they might develop different ways to look at the world, those kids, when they become 20 and 30 and so on, because we know that the past is the best predictor of my future, right? So absolutely, we need a lot of research on this.
From your experience, from your insight, what advice you want to give to your listeners today about how can they make their world a better world?
It's a question of focus, right? I tease my friends, physicians, and sometimes we have interesting challenges between physicians and psychologists. And I tell them, listen, guys, I really appreciate the work you're doing. Of course, you have a very important job. You may try to make people healthier, live longer, and so on. And I tell them, what use is it to do that if people are not happy? You want to make someone live longer but unhappy, right? So the best focus is happiness, of course. But happiness is something that we can create for ourselves.
It's a choice, right?
It's absolutely a choice.
Yes.
And accepting that nobody can make you happy. And
Make
they can
you
participate. Yes, they can participate in your happiness, but they can't make you happy. You have to be open to happiness.
Sure.
But also to be happy, sometimes you have to be ready to give up some things. The famous midlife crisis that we all experience in our 40s. Something happened in us that make us look around and look at all the dreams we had and see, oh my gosh, I had all these dreams, I never realized them. They were thoughts, ideas, and so on. So to say, focus on each day and try to do something with that day. I tell my students something surprising. I tell them, listen, you have a lot of people around you tell you, build yourself a future. And I say, myself, I'm going to ask you to build yourself a past. Every day is going to get into your memories and it's going to be there. You want something positive there. When there is a crisis in your life, at least you can go back into those memories and find solace for a few hours or so.
Something I say to myself and to close friends is that imagine yourself on a rocking chair one day, looking back at your life. Would you be having smiles or would you having regrets? And based on that answer, make yourself a plan.
One of the biggest causes of depression is what we call counterfactual thinking, which is I should have, I could have, I would have, regrets, right?
Yeah.
So we need to diminish the number of those regrets.
I know of you that you traveled so much and you worked in or lived in 5 continents, right?
5 continents, is it 5? I think something like that.
So what made you stay in this amazing piece of land?
In Dubai?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Dubai. When I came almost 10 years ago, I thought I was coming here for a year. Honestly, I fell in love with the country and I fell in love with the people.
Yes.
I absolutely love Canada, right? But Dubai has that thing, I think, that you find only here.
There's something particular about
when I talk to my friends, say Dubai is the future in the making.
Love it.
It's exactly what it is, in my opinion. So it's nice to see all these things happening here.
I see it as a mix of my world back home and here.
Yeah.
And the Arabian side is just so nurturing.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Dr. Stefane, unfortunately, we have to stop. I don't want to.
Me neither.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come to the mic and to share your experiences, your insight with our listeners. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.